G'day warbanders and welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to cope and seethe about Crusader Kings III adding China to the game later this year and telling you why this is a bad idea and why it's very concerning, because I simply do not have faith in Crusader Kings III, the game and also the developers, just for the track record. And I'm going to get dislike bombed heavily for this, but yeah, it's going to turn out shit the way, we looked at the history of the development of this 5-year-old game that still doesn't have CK2 content. But I'm just going to react to this video talking about China on their official YouTube channel, the Crusader Kings III channel, and I'll just give you my thoughts.
Now, for the major expansion of the chapter, as you might have figured out, we will be going east.
Oh man.
And complete the map of Crusader Kings III by adding Asia. All of it.
Oh my god, bro. Why are you adding Asia when you haven't even fully developed Europe yet? It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't.
All under heaven.
You're still missing stuff from Africa. You're still missing stuff in Russia. You're still missing stuff like in the Crusades. There's not much content for the Crusades in a game called Crusader Kings. Like you just fixed Crusades with your recent update, but it's still like there's no flavor. I feel like it's a big misstep going forward, adding in China when you haven't even fully developed all the flavor in the regions in Europe. And you might call me Eurocentric and you might call me this and that, but it's just a bad idea when you just have so much like land that has just no flavor and every sort of country plays the same. And the way that Paradox develops their DLCs nowadays is that there's going to be a disconnected mechanic. So every DLC they add, there's a disconnected mechanic like Regencies, like all these other DLCs like Legends of the Dead, all this stuff, and also the new upcoming DLC like Khans of the Steppe, whatever it's called, where nomads will have like a fertility mechanic, but no one else gets that. So like, it's everything in these DLCs is still disconnected from the main mechanics, and the main mechanics are suffering.
As the expansion is named, adds all of East Asia.
Again, and adding all of East Asia is just horrible because China and Japan are totally different societies, and you're thinking of adding China, like, how are you going to represent that with the current base game systems of feudalism? I just don't see it. Of course, you added the Byzantine Empire with its administration government, but it's too overpowered. You haven't fixed it really yet, and I just don't see it happening in a balanced way.
The celestial government of the Chinese Empire to the wildly different governing form.
Thing is, I would love to play in China.
Korea,
amazing period
of the archipelago in
and lots of history there.
Asia will
and
be
big
full
wars,
of unique faiths and cultures and buildings and everything else, making playing there a vastly different experience from playing in.
And I don't believe that for 1 second, mate. I literally don't. You're adding China while you're sitting here like with Africa just barely touched at all. They act like tribal kingdoms in Europe. Like there's nothing there, and you're moving on to like China. Like this is not a good record.
Europe or anywhere else on the map. Our philosophy when making expansions like these is that they should follow a logical pattern, and Roads to Power led up to this moment with
Roads to Power was a decent DLC. I'm not going to shit talk it, but it could have been better. It could have been better. The way that the adventures work is just very janky, in my opinion, in terms of menus, but the actual mechanics, they're solid. But the UI just feels like I'm playing in a cheat engine.
The celestial government being inspired by the administration that we introduced previously. Tours and tournaments.
And of course, they're porting over the Byzantine system. You think that why would you port a Byzantine system over to like a Western system to a Chinese system? It just doesn't make sense.
Reduced travel, which enabled us to have landless rule.
Travel's a good mechanic. I'll give credit when it's due. Travel added lots of things to the game. Travel wasn't in CK2, so that's good.
In administrative realms, which allows us in turn to have the Chinese Empire represented in a truly unique way. I will now briefly hand over the word to Dan Brockhoff, a developer on the team responsible for a large area of All Under Heaven.
Hello, my name is Dan. I'm a developer on Crusader Kings.
Yep,
so
done.
China is special in our era.
It definitely is. I believe they had a professional army. I believe they were ahead of Europe at the time. At the time, keyword. And they also developed gunpowder. But, you know, not for like wide military use, I'm sure. But I'm not an expert in Chinese history at all.
It's large, it's powerful. So we decided that...
But how will you stop this large Chinese empire from simply invading Europe in your broken naval warfare system where you can transport troops across the 7 seas with like 100 gold, like these trivial gold fees? Like, I can just picture it, like hundreds of thousands of Chinese soldiers being transported across the sea, to Persia, and just wrecking everything because, you know, the warfare system in CK3 is just garbage. It's a simplified system which has no, complexity to it. You know, it's just doom stacks. Marshalling your forces is not complicated. It's just a rally button, or the teleport button, as I like to call it. And levies don't matter. You know, your vassals, they don't really matter because, their troop the troops they give are there's no back and forth in the politics trying to get troops. It's just a very simplified system compared to Crusader Kings 2. And I just see 100k stacks of Chinese warriors invading Europe, and I don't think that's a good way unless they overhaul all the base mechanics in the warfare and also the naval warfare aspects.
We should introduce a new tier of title, the hegemony.
Interesting.
This represents the way that China influences everyone around them and is a leading point in this part of the world. Another cool feature that we have in China is what we call the dynastic cycle. This represents how the mandate of...
And I hope this dynastic cycle, it stops China from just blobbing everywhere in Asia and Europe, because it's, China fielded pretty large armies throughout its history. And you need to add special mechanics. You can't just use the base game mechanics at all, because they're just going to blob up and take over everything.
Lost and gained. This cycle represents chaotic eras, stable eras.
Oh, I know what that means. I know. I've watched Three Body Problem. Chaotic eras.
This process, you will at one point have enough around you, and you will claim the mandate of heaven, and the people will know that you are the right din.
I hope they overhaul the internal struggles in the game, because dealing with vassals, dealing with internal management is not too hard in the Crusader Kings 3. Crusader Kings 3 is too easy, and this hasn't been addressed in 5 fucking years. 5 fucking years, and you still haven't addressed the difficulty of the game. And you might cry, "Oh, Warband, what are you talking about? This game's super hard." No, it's not. I've played 300 hours of this game. I've played I think 200 hours of CK2, and it's not that hard. Literally. They appeal to the lowest customer here. Okay? The Sims players, the role players. Don't get me wrong, I like role playing, but there's no grand strategy in Crusader Kings 3. It's a duel simulator.
Continue the glory of the Chinese Empire. We call the type of government for China the celestial government, which is like an administrative government, but has some additional features, one of which...
Just a renamed admin government. Cool.
...is the treasury. The imperial treasury is...
Interesting. So there might be a different gold income.
Money that flows upwards towards the emperor.
Don't see what they'll add.
He can spend wisely or unwisely.
So another piece of mana in the game.
The Empire of China, of course, will face some challenges. And you will make sure that
What
China
challenges?
survives in an
Will there be any natural disasters or big giant civil wars? Hopefully.
intact and prosperous
Like famines, famines could be a thing, but that's not in the game, is it?
state, behind your great walls and with great armies and great generals. All Under Heaven is our biggest expansion yet, and I hope you'll like what we're doing.
I think it's going to be quantity over quality with Paradox here. They're going to add all of Asia, but it's all going to act like European kingdoms. Like, how are you going to add Japan and China and Southeast Asia? Like, how are you going to add all that unique content within a year? I just don't think it's possible from Paradox. Just look at the track record already. Royal Court, garbage. Northern Lords, okay. Legends of the Dead, horrible. The only good thing added was Plagues. Tours and Tournaments, decent, but it's just like a fluff DLC, just so activities. But it did add the travel system, which is important. And then you had Rose to Power, which is a great DLC. Added Mountain Blade to the game, but still, it's too simple. There's a bug in the game where I don't know if I think they fixed it, I'm not sure, but the adventurers, they bankrupt rulers when they're doing contracts. And, Paradox is like this. I'm not going to say Paradox in its entirety. This dev team specifically just doesn't fix core issues. And I'll show you later in the video in the Paradox form, the official Paradox form, where the highest thread with the most amount of views has this game is fundamentally broken, which is the title of that thread, and it has like 70k views on that. And the devs completely ignore us in the Paradox forums. Completely.
We hope you enjoyed this glimpse into the scope and depth of All Under Heaven. Getting this expansion right is incredibly important to us.
It is incredibly important.
Studio Black. We don't want to present a strictly Eurocentric or outside.
I think you will. You need more time. You need to develop Europe first, like add all the flavor there first, then go to China. Okay? You got to add all the CK2 content as well. Like, I'm not going to forget, the CK2 missing content just because you added China to the game. Like, I'm not going to forget that you didn't add Republics yet. I'm not going to forget that you're reselling me DLC from Horse Lords, whatever it's called. I just don't like this.
Perspective on the history of the cultures we're depicting in All Under Heaven, which is why we've been collaborating with historians as well as prominent members of our existing community from the very earliest stages of All Under Heaven's development. This approach helps us ensure that the content is not only fun to play, but historically accurate and respectful to the cultures and societies that are covered in the...
You're not even being respectful to Western feudal Europe, like that's a general term, but you describe, for example, like the basic military unit as a bunch of peasant levies, which isn't true. If I'll reference a book here called The Medieval Soldier and the War of the Roses, where it's called, and there's this whole complicated system in England in the 15th century where the soldier is actually trained. He goes to war. Everyone trains with longbows. How can you call these peasants not trained in war? How can you call it and they ignore this entire complicated military structure. Of course, I'm just looking at England because England has the most sources for the medieval Europe in my sort of looking at it, and they ignore all the complexity of raising a medieval army, and they just make a horrible military system which is too simplified. And now you want to add that to China? Oh my God.
New areas of the game. While we don't have a specific release date for...
I've been asking for a warfare overhaul for 5 years. 5 years. The man arms are just too overpowered. Logistics is not really concerning. And the game's just way too easy.
All Under Heaven yet. Developer diaries are expected to begin shortly after the release of Cons of the Steppe, with the first dev diary.
I think Cons of the Steppe would be a decent DLC because everyone loves Mongols, everyone loves horse, raiders. I just don't like they're reselling us a DLC from CK2 because we already had horse lore mechanics in CK2. Were they good? I don't think they are, but they were in CK2, and you should give us CK2 mechanics for free. You should be trying to reselling, like peddling us CK2 content.
Tentatively scheduled for early in May. While Chapter 4 brings a lot of new exciting content to the game.
Cool, they're fixing some parts of the game, which I don't like this. This window, it just makes it more clunky. Like, this isn't good. I love the CK2 system where it's very like not in your face. That's a way better UI. This is not. I get it, they want you to focus on the characters, but for when you have so many core roles, it doesn't make sense to have all these blocks. The CK3 UI, while it's been praised to the heavens, has slowly degraded over time. Slowly. And people aren't talking about it. And it seems like they added some new UI. And they're automating parts of the game, which is kind of weird. Like, why would you automate this? Again, the game's way too easy, and they're just making everything. And they say this is like a role play game, but they add they auto manage the mechanics. Like, it's like this should be very pivotal, like choosing the people in your court, but it's not. It's like, oh, we're gonna automate it. Like, that doesn't make sense. And then they like add automated army settings, which just tells me they don't really care about the warfare at all. It's like, the warfare shit, we'll just automate it for you. Just like Victoria 3. I'm just like, oh, fuck you, man. Honestly, you haven't addressed this, and now you're adding some, oh God. Sorry if I'm really ranting this video. Like, I've been playing this game since 2020. I saw the potential, but it's slowly just dropping off. Slowly. And everyone's like praising this thing, like, oh shit, China's coming, guys. China's coming. Oh, soy boy face, yeah. Like, I'm not falling for it. I'm not falling for it again. China's going to be generic. I'm sorry. That's how Paradox operates.
AI-controlled army is actively in its available bundle. You will immediately gain
access. Oh, and it's also some more character packs.
By cultures.
Yeah, sell us more of that, please. Sell us more modded content. They literally did that, by the way. All right, let's look at the DLCs and let's see what they offer. By the way, this costs 63 Australian dollars. Now you think, oh, that's Australian money. That's worth nothing. But that's like a AAA game price right there for me. So you're basically asking like a full-on game for your DLC. Of course, they're adding China, which is big content, but it's quantity over quality, so I don't accept it. And I just don't like this building system. While I do like Rose to Power, like this system right here is just too gamey for me with these buildings, like level 3, level 2, level 1. It sounds like an MMO instead of an actual role-playing game, All right, and then we have Crowns of the World, so selling us a creator pack for some reason, or some sort of clothing pack. Khans of the Steppe. I'm actually excited for this one, but we'll see what happens when it comes out. Again, reselling us CK2 DLC, which I'm not really excited about. Like, I am, but I'm not. Like, you know what I mean? And then Coronations, which were in CK2. We actually had events for Coronations, and now they're adding it back just under a new DLC. If you haven't played CK2, you wouldn't. If you have played CK2, you would notice this straight away, that they're just adding CK2 content in DLCs, right? And the legitimization mechanic in CK3 is so laughably bad. Like, it doesn't mean anything. It's just bonuses, more bonuses, man. More modifiers, more modifiers. Come on, more modifiers. Make the player stronger. Make the player OP. That's all YouTube is about on Crusader Kings III. It's all about, this is a Reddit game with no difficulty. The map grows 30% larger. Yeah, quantity over quality. And I'll give credit when it's due. Like, this as like a new title is interesting. An Imperial Treasury is interesting. And meritocracy systems is interesting. But they did say they were porting over Byzantine systems, like the Byzantine admin government. So I'm not keen. And they're also adding Japan, and they haven't really talked about that. So I assume that Japan's just going to be like medieval Europe. Like, how can you add China and Japan, two complex societies, in one hit? Japan needs its own DLC. Like, I love the concept of a China DLC. I really do, but I'm not confident in Paradox at all, and I'll show you why. Also, they're adding Southeast Asia for some reason, but it's going to be quantity of quality. Oh, woman plays. You're just ranting. I'm not ranting, bro. There's people that think like me in the Paradox forums. Let's have a look. Paradox forums, CK3. Where is it, bro? It's not even the top. Now, here's an important point, and I've already raised this before, and that is the naval question. And this person called Abel Cat, he raises a great post of criticism here, which is, with the entirety of Asia being added, it is no longer possible to ignore the impact of navies during the medieval era. In the invasion of the Chola Empire into Indonesia, the Jinpi War, the Jin Song War, the Mongol invasions of Vietnam and Japan, all of these conflicts require the presence of a real navy to be represented in a satisfactory manner. The current system is no longer good enough to cut it. Exactly. How are you going to represent the failed Mongol invasions of Japan without a proper naval warfare system? But Warband plays, there's no naval warfare in the Middle Ages. Yes, there was. I can show you artwork right here. Lots of artwork. Oh, but that's just the Byzantines. That's just the republics of Italy. Oh, just shut up, man. Shut up. Jeez. There's too many shills for CK3. Too many shills. Too many. It's okay if you disagree with me. It's okay. You go, oh, Warband players actually like that adding China. Okay, cool. Tell me the reasons why, and I'll probably disagree or agree on each individual point, right? And then I'm just going to end this video around here, which is the game is fundamentally broken according to this forum post. So we can see here. So, okay, now I finally get the complaints. I waited years to play CK3 after playing CK2 because I knew Paradox would need some time to flesh it out, and they haven't done that. This I did not mind because producing a grand strategy game on the scale is a lot of work. I agree, and I own all the DLC. I also own some of the DLC. On my second playthrough, I went from Count to Emperor easily. Yes! It's too fucking easy. Now there's nothing to do. I never read a guide or anything. I'm not sure if it's due to the mechanics, overall design, or the AI, but there's simply no challenge. I did all of that with the game, with what the game told me. If I had more money I could never need, which I could spend on activities, blah, blah, blah. Stacking of bonuses is insane. Yes. Devs still, you need to fix this. They need to sit down and just do a huge balance update. And stop all the DLC production. Because this stacking of bonuses is getting insane. You see it on YouTube everywhere. And then, well, I understand playing for achievements, Eternal Norway Muslim, whatever. That's a Reddit thing. Once one has mastered the game, they can try and do ridiculous stuff, which is what people are doing. But this is my second playthrough. The game signals very well to the player what can make them more powerful. Exactly, there's no role play in the game. You don't need guides, true. You only have to read, but the AI doesn't know. Is the AI supposed to roleplay? Because I did it and it was all too easy. My compassionate character did not execute people. I didn't have to. I'd already won on my second playthrough. How does one roleplay if even sabotaging yourself doesn't give you a challenge? The only events are left, but I have read most of them. Yeah, the events are just awfully written. CK2 events were better, by the way. Subjective opinion. I'll say that right now. What is the game supposed to be? A medieval simulator? A grand strategy game? It is neither. You are correct. Eric Arthur? Hugely correct. Paradox, I spent years modding Victoria 2. I know you can do better. Oh, hit him where it hurts. Victoria 2, the master game comes out. And look at this guy. I think you mastered the game and should consider some mods. If you have to consider mods, your game is already fucked. Your game's fucked. And finally, I'll just list out my problems with CK3. So, I've already sort of teased this out a little bit. And I'll just end on these problems. And these are things that I think Paradox needs to work on, like, you know, after the China DLC or before, because if you just keep adding new DLCs, it's not going to work. So here's my suggestions. So you got to add death sounds back, because they're just great. You got to remove the event spam and bad writing, because your events are just poorly written. I wish I could get a mod to remove those poorly written fart events, like just get them out straight away, get them out. Reselling of certain DLCs. So we already had CK2 Nomads. Don't know why we're treading on the same ground. I've already mentioned this before. The UI has degraded. The UI is dark and getting cluttered, so everything just looks dark and grimy for some reason. When we know that the medieval period was very colorful, lots of, you know, manuscripts. You know, look at manuscripts, very colorful. The vassals have no teeth, so like internal management is just way too easy. Everyone just folds to you. There's no sort of politicking with your, you know, your large power magnates. You know, it's awful. There's no council tension like CK2 Conclave, so there's barely any Conclave mechanics. Broken warfare system with Space Marine Men-at-Arms that doesn't capture the medieval warfare, so refers to the book The Medieval Soldier by Andrew Boardman, which I think gives a good, you know, snapshot into how medieval warfare operated, specifically in the War of the Roses. Of course, the War of the Roses is an analog for the entire period, but it gives a good little snapshot into how did warfare actually work in the Middle Ages. It wasn't just like, oh, I teleport all my soldiers with the teleport rally system, I win. But that just doesn't capture me warfare at all. Teleporting rally system, I already mentioned that. Paying trivial gold fees to transport thousands of troops across the 7 seas. Huge problem. No naval warfare. 5 years into development. Expected better. An increase in modifier stacking. Already mentioned this. No republics. CK2 feature. Really big shame. Because Italy is one of those regions that doesn't have much flavor. And republics could be that flavor, but they just chose not to add it for 5 years. Also intended passive AI, because only one AI character can plot to kill the player at a time. There's actually a mod that you can turn that shit off. So the developers have put training wheels on the AI sometimes. And I just don't like CK3 Dynasty Legacies, but that's more of a subjective thing. It's just a passive gain of, you know, these powerful bonuses that like just have no drawbacks at all. So this game is just way too easy. And yeah, guys, I'll just wrap it up there. I hope you liked my rant, my sort of annoyance with the CK3 dev team and adding China. And, you know, please like and subscribe and comment. I'd like to hear your thoughts. I expect to get a lot of hate on this video, but I'm not a shill. I say what I think, and you'll feel free to argue in the comments. I'll respond, you know, in good faith, but I don't expect people to respond in good faith, but I will respond back, attempting good faith arguments. But yeah, I'll see you guys later. Bye.